What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the new head by a company called Element Lacrosse. They call it the Onset, and it is very, very cool. I'm excited about this head. Let's go. So Element Lacrosse is a new, young company started by this guy Mitchell. He is Clutch Fanatic's best friend, which is cool. He's young. I don't know. I think Josh is 20, early 20s. I don't think he's quite to mid 20s, so I'm assuming Mitch is the same age. That's young. That's young to start a company, not just start a company, but manufacture something like a head. Getting mesh made for yourself, getting shafts made, adding your name to it. That stuff is that's impressive on its own, but a head is even more impressive because there's a lot that goes into it. Just designing the head, having a digital design of a head, a 3D design that's impressive, right? But then getting the molds made, getting them manufactured, researching plastics, finding out what you want to use, testing, all that. That's impressive stuff. And so, all that's really impressive. And even if I didn't like this head, which I do, but even if I didn't, I would want to support this company because it's what lacrosse needs. We need that constant influx of new blood in the manufacturing arena, making new gear, quality gear, and keeping the big boys on their toes. That's an important part of the growth of our game and the gear in our game. So right off the bat, Element Lacrosse is impressive to me. This is an early model, and I don't know how many of these they got made, but this is the infamous illegal version. So from here to here is about 9 3/4 inches, which is illegal. What they found out is that when they took them out of the mold and they started to cool, they shrunk a little bit. So they've addressed that problem. I think he's getting 1,000 made, and they're going to be the legal size. So this one could turn out to be a collector's item, which I'll hang on to because I love the head. So let's talk about the head. And I always string these up before I review them because I want to go out and play with them. But what I really should do is do an initial part of the review where I have the head unstrung and just talk about what I'm seeing. But I'm pretty impatient, so I just string them up and take them out. But as you can see, the offset on this head is nuts. That quick drop from throat to there is just, it's nuts. It's a very aggressive offset, which I think is funny and cool because the name of the head is Onset, and it is definitely not Onset. And the offset, the theory is, I guess it's probably more than a theory, it's probably proven it. The further the ball is away from your hands, right here, so hand here, obviously it'd be down here, but the ball's here, hand here, the further you get away, the more rotation you get per cradle, which means the more hold you get on the ball. So the aggressive drop here, and then a slow climb back, but not all the way, so you're dealing with a pretty offset head. Great for ball feel, off the end of your stick, generate a little more feel of the ball, a little more power. I picked up my old college stick the other day, I took it out, threw it around. I hated the feel, the Onset feel. I just can't handle it anymore. So definitely, right off the bat, looking at it there, I'm like, yep, I dig it. The face shape is gorgeous. That is just about as perfect as you can get. Everything about it. Love it. I love the face shape. There's not even much to say about it. Just look at that. Throat is interesting. 4 holes. I think they're doing ball stops eventually. The throat is probably one of the most interesting parts on this head. So as you can see, these support rails are wide. Like they stick out wide there, and they taper down to the bottom of the throat. But what they're doing here is they're making room for this, which is a pretty innovative feature. It's a 2-screw system, but they're not stacked. They're next to each other, which at first I was like, well, that's interesting. Not sure if I like it, but what they do, and you know, it's you have to drill new holes and this and that, and you know, if you want to put another head on this shaft, there'd be a third hole in between, but I think there's room for it. But the screws are angled inward. So there's a slight, you know, where a normal screw would go into the shaft like this, these two are angled this way. And they don't touch. You use a standard screw. They don't touch. But the angle on those two screws, I think it's just, it's very smart because that is going to take away head wobble to a new degree. This thing is on there and it is on there tight. And even before I put the screws in, this is a String King A7150. Yeah, I slid it on and it was on there well, you know, it wasn't moving. But then add those screws, I mean, this will not wobble, which I like. I like the innovation. I didn't like at first because I sometimes hold the head when I'm one-handed, but this being wider, it kind of spreads my hand out a little bit. At first I didn't like it, but then I realized, wait a minute, if normally I would hold it kind of there. If I just tilt my hand a little bit, like that way, your finger right here wraps around this edge, and it's incredible the way it locks in right there. It is in your grip like you wouldn't believe. More so than just holding a little bit of the head, you know what I mean? So at first I didn't like it, and then after playing around with it a little bit, I'm like, oh wait, I do like that. I absolutely like that. And it doesn't change your hold much. I mean, all right, let me just show you here. So finger locked in, finger not locked in. So I mean, it hardly moves at all. It's like you wouldn't change your cradle at all with that. So that's kind of cool. And you know, I think that's important when you get a new product and there's an innovation like this. Instead of just being like, ew, I don't like it. You know, play with it. You know, mess around with it, and you may realize, wait a minute, I actually do like that, and I do. That's a really nice grip for an aggressive one-handed cradle. Like you could go hard that way. Oops, sorry. What's next? So the throat, it's got the Element logo in there. It's not super well defined, and it's kind of hidden by some of these cutouts, but it's in there. There's a little Element logo there too. Probably won't be able to see that. That's okay, but so it's not overly branded, which I like. Sidewall rails, I discussed a little bit. You know, this little section against the grain, I think, would add strength. They say, I mean, it's very stiff, not overly stiff, but it's a stiff head. And apparently, it's very strong. There's videos on their Instagram of them bashing these with sledgehammers. So, you know, it's a strong head. I'll be curious if people break them. The sidewall holes are trapezoidal, but with a really nice angle to lock your knots in. I really like that. The top two holes are bigger, not overly big, but definitely big enough to wrap twice. The top string holes are big enough for, you can do a triangle in there, no problem. Well spaced, really nice. There is two bottom string holes. So there's only two in there, so you have to get a little creative, you know, if you're doing leathers with a regular nylon or a shooter, you know, you're fine. The scoop, it's a great scoop. You know, you've got your little ledge here to protect your strings. It's a relatively flat scoop, relatively thin scoop, which I appreciate. A scoop's fine, you know. I've had this out of practice quite a few times, and you know, just not doing a lot with it. I didn't let people take it in. Like we did a full field, like a short and full field, not really West Jenny, but kind of West Jenny-ish. And everyone was using short sticks. Like, coach, let me use your stick. I was like, nope, because that was after the measurement issue came out, and I knew this is one of the illegal ones. So I didn't let anybody take it out in the field and use it during play, just because I want to keep this. You know, I rolling out ground balls, throwing balls in for Tiger, you know, passing around. It's great. Scooping up ground balls feels good. It's a great head. You know, it's $85, which is right in there. You know, a little cheaper than the standard. So that's good. I think you guys will really enjoy this head. I know there's a large percentage of any consumer demographic that likes to support the little guy, that likes to have things that are a little different, you know, have something that not everyone will have. And, you know, these guys may get huge eventually, and quite possibly, I would say, because they're doing things well. But in the beginning, you know, this could be kind of a unique head for you to get if you don't want to have what everybody else has. I'm really curious to see, you know, when they get out in the hands of the public, you know, guys actually grinding, putting in the work, you know, hardcore, more than just a dumb coach, you know, see how they hold up, because I'm always curious about that. My testing is different than an average lacrosse player's, unfortunately. I do give them to my kid. He plays attack though, so you know, doesn't put in the damage of like say an LSM or a midi, even a D midi, you know. But you know, it's an offensive minded head, so you know, yeah, D midis could use it. It's stiff enough, but right now I think it's really geared toward midis, two-way midis, O midis, you know, attack definitely. The unstrung onset is 4.7 ounces, I believe. So you know, a light head, stiff head, strong head, obviously from the Instagram videos. Stringable, like very easy to string. You know, this is my first stringing. I would like to go back and do it again, but it came out very nice. I love it. I love the way it throws. It's just a quality head. Super excited by this, guys. The website goes live on November 17th for pre-orders, and I'm hoping they just, you know, people just jump on this and support this company, because they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They started out really well, and if you guys throw your money behind it, support them, buy their products, then they will continue to do it well and come out with new things, goalie heads, face-off heads, you know, D heads, whatever. Definitely get behind a company like this, guys. This is what lacrosse needs. It's what we always need. As consumers, I think it's really important that we throw our weight behind companies like this. Obviously, I wouldn't say that if I didn't like the head. I wouldn't even do a review if I didn't like the head. But this thing is super high quality, and it's just very well designed, and it's a beautiful head. I love this thing. All right, guys, so go check out the Element Lacrosse Instagram. I'll put a link in the description. The website, I believe, goes live for pre-orders on November 17th, $85. So jump on that. These guys started off on a good foot, and you know, I think we as the consumers, the lacrosse, the buying public, need to get behind them and just keep pushing them forward. You know, we buy the Onset, now they've got working capital, and they can start making more heads. We want these guys making more heads, and we want companies like this making more heads. Good stuff, Element. Well done. Thank you for sending this over, and I look forward to what you guys do next. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you next video.